Hi there, my name is Arthur. Welcome to the Idea Lab. Now, what's happening on this channel is that I take apart business ideas in Zimbabwe and try to understand the money-making mechanisms behind them. So if you are a business buff, an entrepreneur, I hope you find this channel useful. Through the different business ideas that I'll be looking for, probably you can find a place where you can put your footing in the Zimbabwe business world and opportunities. So in this video, we're going to look at a business that makes between $3,500 and $4,500 every 90 to 120 days. Actually, this business has got a profit ratio of 1 to 3, meaning if you invest $1, you get $3 out as profit. We're going to look at what you need to get into this business, the problem this business is solving, the marketing for this business, the market opportunity for this business. We're going to look at the cost of running this business, and finally, the cash that you make out of this business. So the business is a green mealie farming business, which is an agro business. It produces high quality crops on a 1 hectare piece of land. 1 hectare, which is 10,000 square meters, is the industry standard when calculating for this business. People have always loved green mealies. Previously, before this business came to be so popular, there used to be a period where the market didn't have any green mealies. Green mealies were only available during the rainy season when everybody was growing it in their backyard. In the rural areas, people were using rain-fed fields, to grow the produce and send it to the cities for people to buy and enjoy. So this business solves the market gap that used to exist between the end of the rainy season and the next rainy season, which is essentially the period where it's dry and no one was growing it. So there was a market gap which somebody saw and tried to get in there and continue to supply the market which loves green mealies, frankly. If you look at just how many vendors all across different parts of Harare who are selling roadside roasted mealies at 50 cents. This business also provides a quick hunger satisfying snack which is cheap, convenient and affordable. Just about any time you can just pop out onto the street and buy one from the roadside. Even in homes, people cook this green mealies, and it is a good plug in a home setting where a pot is prepared. So yeah, this business solves the problem that has been on the market, with the market gap, and it basically plugs that. So the business model: identify a plot of land with suitable soils, decent supply of water for irrigation, plant, grow the most sought after green mealie variety as efficiently as possible. Harvest, take the produce to market, fetch the best price per dozen cobs, rinse and repeat. That's the model. So let's look at the market for this business. Well, the market is quite diverse. One of the biggest markets is Mbare Musika. Most green mealie commercial farmers take their produce to Mbare on a daily basis. This is where all the business activity happens, the buying and selling of green mealies. So you have there vendors from all over Harare coming down to Mbare to buy their supplies for their small businesses by the order of multiple dozens. You also have individuals, you also have households, you also have different other, people who are interested in the green mealies who come to Mbare to buy it for different reasons, including for feed and things like that. But the market is huge. The primary market for the green mealie farmer is Mbare, or any other market in the urban areas, whether it be Gweru or Bulawayo. Just about all the cities in Zimbabwe have got a common market similar to Mbare that is found in Harare, where people descend to sell all kinds of produce. So that's where the green mealies are taken. When I was looking at what actually happens with Mbare, I discovered that there are farmers who travel into Harare from a radius of between 100 to 140 kilometers. So you're talking about green mealie farmers from Mutoko, green mealie farmers from Mondorongezi, from Chivu, from the Mazoe area. They all come into Harare to Mbare to sell their produce. So that's basically how the market for this industry operates. There are also farm gate sales where individuals come to the farms with small trucks to buy the green mealies. However, I found out that this particular market is not, although it exists and it pushes some volume. It doesn't push as much volume as what happens in Mbare. Furthermore, when you buy at the farm gate, you're likely to buy at a lower price than you would buy in Mbare. This also means the farmer is going to fetch much less than they would get if they took their produce to Mbare. So at the farm gate, probably you're going to get half of what you would get in Mbare, which is not really attractive for most farmers. If you consider that as a farmer, if you took your own produce to Mbare, the cost of taking the produce to Mbare is probably much less than what you are losing by selling at the farm gate. So farm gate sales, okay, but these are not as popular nor as lucrative as taking your produce to a central market such as Mbare, which is found in an urban area. So now let's look at the costs for this business. The primary costs are production costs. So you've got your seed, you've got fertilizers, you've got pesticides, irrigation, and labor. These are the main variable costs in the business. You've also got rent if you are renting a piece of land. So you're going to have a fixed cost of rentals based on what you agreed with the landowner. There's also movement to market, which is transport hire, fuel, and other related costs. You'll find that in agriculture, costs such as going to the market, transport, fuel, and other costs involved can easily be covered by horticultural activities such as growing vegetables. You can have a small field next to your main field of the green mealies or somewhere within your property where you grow green vegetables, which you can then sell to the market and raise petty cash to help you cover the transport costs of going to Harare. This is diesel fuel, which could possibly be between $40 and $50 or $100 at most for a return trip to Mbare and back. So the main costs of this business are well known, so it makes it easy to plan ahead because it's a straightforward business. Most of the costs go into the production costs, which we have mentioned. So now let's look at the cost numbers for this business. But first, we have to make certain assumptions. These are common assumptions that are made in the industry when doing calculations for this business. Number one, we assume that you're going to be growing your green mealies on a 1 hectare plot, which is 10,000 square meters. We're also going to assume that the plot will take between 40,000 and 45,000 plants. We're going to assume that the plot will produce between 3,000 and 3,500 dozens of mealies. We're also going to assume a 3 to 5% field loss during the entire production process. So cash injection of between $800 and $1,000 is estimated for this business to grow green mealies on a 1 hectare plot. So looked at versus potatoes, at the same 1 hectare, potatoes would need about $10,000 to grow per hectare. So green mealies is clearly a business that can be funded out of pocket using one's own resources compared to potatoes. At $10,000 per hectare, probably you need some funding, whether it's a bank loan or somebody sponsoring or injecting some money into the business. So the $800 to $1,000 that goes into this business per hectare will cover 25 kgs of seed, which is also about 50,000 kernels of seed. It will also cover 800 kgs of fertilizer. These are different types of fertilizer, which include basal fertilizer, which you put into the soil at the beginning. Then you've got top dressing fertilizers. It will also cover irrigation, labor, and agrochemicals that are involved in the business. So when I looked at this business, I pinpointed certain success elements that would make you succeed growing green mealies. Number one is that you have to think business. I think this is a common theme in agriculture in Zim today, that you have to put on a business hat. You have to think business when you're doing agriculture. Number two, you also have to practice good agronomic practices, which is GAP in short. This basically means doing your soil testing, making sure and looking after your crop just like a farmer would do, and not just plant and assume that things will do themselves. You actually have to involve agronomists in your business, in your production cycle at your plot. The selling window is also important because this is where you fetch the best price. You remember we talked about the rainy season when everyone is producing green mealies. This is actually the lowest price fetching season. So the best window is when there are no rains and everybody is looking to irrigation to grow the green mealies. So targeting the best selling window is also an element of success in this business. And you also need to grow the most attractive crop. Not all varieties are the same. You have to target the most loved, the most sought after variety. What happens in this field is that there are certain green mealie varieties that last longer on the market. For example, between harvest and the actual sales that occur at the vendor level. So some varieties would only last about 24 hours after harvest before the green mealies become stale. So you need to target the varieties that last longer. There are very popular varieties, yellow varieties that last up to 3-4 days after harvest, without changing their tastes, without going bad. So those are targeted also as high demand varieties when you take your produce to Mbare. So targeting and growing the best variety is a key to success in this business. You have to produce a maximum of 3,500 dozens per hectare in order for you to maximize profit. So these are the key elements of success in this business, which should not be ignored if you want to succeed, because they are the key cogs that make sure that you make the best profit at the end of the day. So let's look at the problems that are common in this business. Like all farming activities or farming operations, this business, being an agro-business, is also prone to all the problems associated with farming. These include weather issues, unforeseen market swings, input price fluctuations, and labor issues. Despite all these problems, the good news is that most of the problems can be mitigated against through forward planning and a hands-on approach. So green mealie farmers will have to be present. You have to see what's happening at the farm. You have to look at the weather forecast. You have to keep an eye on the market, analyze the market, understand, research, and understand the patterns of the market. So this is key for success. So now let's talk about the money. How much does the business really make? First, let's look at important information concerning this business. Number one, you're going to be using a 1 hectare plot, which is the standard in the industry in calculating the returns in this business. We are also going to assume that you're going to use the upper end of production costs, which is $1,000 per hectare, just to keep things conservative. We are also going to assume a worst selling window. For some reason, say you miss the best window and you get the worst selling window, where you're going to sell per dozen $1.50 of your green mealies. Instead of producing 3,500, we are also going to assume that you are going to be 43% off, to write off 43% of your produce, and only produce 2,000 dozen instead of the 3,500 possible on a 1 hectare plot. To do the numbers, if you produce 2,000 dozens instead of 3,500, so you're going to make 2,000 times $1.50, which is going to give you $3,000, which is nearly net profit, because the remaining cost, transport to market, we've already dealt with by saying these are inconsequential costs which you can cover through other horticultural activities on the plot. So if this cycle is repeated 3 times in a year successfully, you're going to make 3,000 times 3, which is $9,000 in profit per year. Now, 3 times because it is possible, when all things being equal, to grow the green mealies 3 times per year. So other farmers will just do it once per year, but other farmers will do it 3 times per year. In other words, meaning 1 hectare every 90 to 120 days, which will come out to about 3 times. So that's the 3 times $3,000, which gives you $9,000 profit. If you do it 3 times a year, meaning you grow 3 hectares altogether. The interesting thing about this business is that it can scale, and the way it scales is that you increase the hectareage. Here we've been talking about 1 hectare. You can grow your green mealies on a 2 hectare plot. You can grow on a 3 hectare plot, all going at once. You can also stagger it, but generally within the same time frame, so that you take the produce to the market at different times. But the bottom line is that it is easy to scale. It is possible, at the very least, to scale the business by just increasing the hectareage. By also doing that, you're making room for crop rotation, which is essential in agriculture. Remember, we talked about GAP, the good agronomic practices. So that's part of it. When you have got more land, you are able to do crop rotation and keep your soil vibrant and healthy. So that's how this business can scale. Furthermore, we are working with numbers that are much lower, $1.50 per window, selling price per dozen. You could also fetch much more than that by targeting the best window or by having the best produce in the market. All things considered, my take on the business is that this is a lucrative business. This is the reason why many people have been getting into it. Despite people getting into it, the average that the dozens fetch on the market remain more or less the same. That's an interesting fact about this business. The business can scale, as mentioned, to make more profit. Obviously, experience will increase profit. It will help you have excellent business execution and business acumen as you learn more about the industry. If you're new to it, you develop your own systems. You will understand what are the best windows. You would understand the varieties. You would understand basically what happens in the market, because it is the market that matters at the end of the day. You would also possibly fetch higher selling prices. We're using $1.50. We're using 2,000 dozens as your production. But if that amount was to be increased, say, to between $2.50 to $3 per dozen, which is the highest the market can fetch, about $3 per dozen, you're going to make more. So if you sell 3,000 dozen, for example, from a 1 hectare plot, that will give you $9,000 per every 90 days or 120 days. So this, if it's done 2 or 3 times per year, the profits will basically skyrocket to between $24,000 to $31,000 per year in profit, just growing green mealies. So as everything in agriculture, you have to learn, you have to get in. Maybe your first season in it's not going to be the best season, but it's obviously going to be very profitable in terms of your experience, gaining knowledge of the industry and learning about it. So you have got 2 more chances to try it in a year, and one of those could be successful, or both of them, or all of them. So in the following season, on the next year, it's going to be just, going up and up. So there are people who have been doing this business for many years now, since it started gaining momentum on the Zimbabwean market. So tell me what you think. Have you been in this business? What have I left out? Hope to see you on the next one. Cheers.